In a world where money often gets mistaken for worth, it's easy to fall into the trap of thinking financial status defines who you are. Someone who brags, "I have more money than you," is usually masking deep insecurity. Real confidence doesn't need to flaunt or compare. It's quiet, unshaken, and rooted in self-awareness. This kind of behavior reveals more about their fears than their success. If you've ever encountered this, you know how empty it feels. True wealth isn't just in the bank, it's in character, relationships, and peace of mind. Let's break down why people act like this and how you can avoid falling into the same trap. Why insecure people flaunt money. Insecurity drives people to overcompensate. When someone feels inadequate, they cling to external validation, like money, to prove their worth. They believe wealth shields them from judgment, but it's a fragile defense. Deep down, they fear being exposed as not enough. This is why they constantly compare. If they can convince others they're ahead, maybe they'll believe it themselves. But real security doesn't need to announce itself. It's like shouting, "I'm important." The louder someone is, the less convinced they are. Money is a false sense of power. For the insecure, money becomes a weapon, not a tool. They use it to intimidate or belittle others because it's the only way they feel in control. But power built on fear is temporary. True influence comes from respect, not fear. Think about it. The most respected people don't need to remind you of their status. Their actions speak for them. If someone throws their wealth in your face, they're admitting they have nothing else to offer. Real power is quiet, undeniable, and doesn't need to prove a thing. The loneliness of ego-driven wealth money can't buy loyalty or genuine connection. People who rely on wealth to impress often end up surrounded by opportunists, not real friends. They might have yes men, but no one who truly cares. This isolation fuels their insecurity even more. They know deep down that their relationships are transactional. Meanwhile, those who value kindness and authenticity build bonds that last. No amount of money replaces trust, love, or real companionship. How to avoid this mindset? Life advice number 1, define your own worth. Don't let money or lack of it dictate your self-esteem. Your value isn't in your bank account. It's in your integrity, how you treat people, and the impact you make. Write down what truly matters to you: family, growth, kindness, and measure yourself by those standards. When you stop comparing, you free yourself from someone else's game. Confidence comes from knowing who you are, not what you have. Life advice number 2, focus on growth, not just gains. Wealth is a byproduct of value, not the goal. Instead of chasing money for status, focus on skills, knowledge, and contribution. Build something meaningful. The richest people, in every sense, are those who solve problems and uplift others. When you grow, money follows, but it won't be your only identity. A person who invests in themselves never feels the need to belittle others. Listen, money talks, but insecurity screams. When someone says, "I have more money than you," what they're really saying is, "I need you to know I'm better." But true confidence doesn't announce itself. It's quiet, unshaken, and doesn't need validation. People who flex their wealth like this are usually covering up deep self-doubt. They measure their worth in dollars because they don't know how to measure it in character, purpose, or real respect. Let's break down why this mindset is weak, how to see through it, and, most importantly, how to make sure you never end up that hollow. 1. Insecurity wears a gold mask. The loudest in the room are often the most insecure. A person who brags about money is usually afraid of being overlooked, disrespected, or seen as less than. They think flashing cash will force people to admire them, but real respect isn't bought. It's earned through actions, not account balances. If someone needs to remind you they're rich, they don't truly believe it themselves. 2. Money as a crutch for low self-worth. For some, wealth is a band-aid over deep wounds. Maybe they were overlooked as kids, felt powerless, or were taught that money equals worth. So now they use it like armor. But armor is heavy, and eventually they realize money can't fix what's broken inside. The truly secure don't need props. They know their value isn't tied to possessions. 3. The difference between wealth and class. Money can buy luxury, but it can't buy class. Class is how you treat people when you have power. A person with real wealth doesn't need to belittle others. They lift them up. But someone who flaunts money, they're telling you they've never learned the difference between having money and being truly wealthy. 4. The loneliness of buying friends. People who chase status often end up surrounded by users, not real friends. If your circle is only there for your money, you'll always wonder who truly likes you. Real relationships are built on trust, not transactions. The richest person in the room can also be the loneliest. 5. How to avoid this mindset. Advice number 1, build real confidence. Confidence isn't "I have more than you." It's "I don't need to compare." Work on skills, self-awareness, and emotional strength. When you know your worth, you won't need to prove it. Read, learn, fail, grow. Confidence built on experience is unshakable. Advice number 2, measure yourself against your past, not others. The only person you should compete with is who you were yesterday. If you're growing, learning, and improving, you'll never feel small because of someone else's wallet. Success is personal. Define it on your terms. 7. Advice number 3, use money as a tool, not an identity. Money should work for you, not define you. The second you tie your self-worth to your net worth, you've lost. Build wealth to create freedom, not to impress strangers. The truly rich don't care about appearing rich. 8. The trap of constant comparison. Social media makes it worse, and everyone's flexing, but nobody's happy. The more you compare, the emptier you'll feel. Focus on your own path. The only wallet you need to worry about is yours. 9. Real wealth is freedom, not flash. The richest people aren't the ones with the most, but those who need the least to be happy. Freedom is having options, not just expensive things. If your happiness depends on outshining others, you'll never be satisfied. 10. Humility is the ultimate power move. True strength doesn't need to announce itself. The most powerful people don't talk about their money. They let their actions speak. Humility isn't weakness. It's confidence that doesn't need external approval. 11. The danger of ego. Overintelligence, money can inflate ego, but ego destroys wisdom. Stay hungry, stay learning. The minute you think you're better because of your bank account, you stop growing. Stay humble or get humble. 12. How to spot and avoid toxic money mindsets. If someone's always talking about money, they're usually compensating. Surround yourself with people who value growth, generosity, and integrity, not just numbers in an account. 13. Generosity, greed. The secure give, the insecure take. Generosity proves you're not afraid of losing. If you can help others without needing credit, you've reached a level of wealth braggers will never understand. 14. Legacy, luxury. Nobody remembers how much you spent. They remember how you made them feel. Build a legacy of impact, not just possessions. Real wealth outlives you. 15th final truth, money can't fill the void. No amount of cash fixes a broken sense of self. Work on your inner world first. When you're truly secure, you won't need to say a word. People will just know. Bottom line, money is a tool, not a trophy. Build yourself, not just your bank account, and you'll never feel the need to say, "I have more than you." Because when you're truly wealthy, you won't care. Stay calm and listen carefully. Today is a new day for you to change your life. Don't miss it. Let's begin. Welcome back to You Achiever. Why intelligent people avoid small talk and what they do instead. Friedrich Nietzsche. Introduction. In a world dominated by superficial interactions, intelligent individuals often find themselves disengaged from meaningless chatter. Friedrich Nietzsche, the profound German philosopher, argued that small talk is a waste of intellectual energy, a distraction from deeper, more meaningful pursuits. For those who value substance over triviality, idle conversations about the weather or gossip feel like a betrayal of their mental potential. Instead, they seek discussions that challenge their intellect, provoke thought, and inspire growth. But why exactly do highly intelligent people avoid small talk, and what do they replace it with? This exploration delves into Nietzsche's perspective, revealing how profound minds prioritize depth over distraction. 1. Small talk lacks intellectual stimulation. Intelligent people crave mental engagement, and small talk offers none of it. Nietzsche believed that superficial conversations drain the mind rather than nourish it. Discussing mundane topics like traffic or weekend plans does little to stimulate critical thinking or creativity. For deep thinkers, every conversation is an opportunity to explore ideas, question assumptions, and expand knowledge. When deprived of this stimulation, they disengage, preferring silence over meaningless exchanges. 2. It feels like a waste of time. Time is a precious resource, and intelligent individuals are acutely aware of its value. Nietzsche emphasized the importance of using time wisely, dedicating it to pursuits that enrich the soul and intellect. Small talk, in his view, is a frivolous activity that steals time from more meaningful endeavors. Rather than indulging in empty chatter, deep thinkers prefer reading, writing, or engaging in philosophical debates, activities that leave a lasting impact. 3. They seek authentic connections. Superficial conversations create shallow relationships, something intelligent people often reject. Nietzsche argued that true connection comes from vulnerability, intellectual exchange, and shared passions. Small talk keeps interactions at a surface level, preventing the formation of genuine bonds. Instead of discussing trivial matters, deep thinkers ask probing questions, share personal philosophies, and engage in debates that reveal true character. 4. They value solitude over fake socializing. Nietzsche famously stated, "The man of knowledge must be able not only to love his enemies, but also to hate his friends." For him, solitude was preferable to forced socialization. Intelligent people often find small talk exhausting because it demands participation in conversations they don't care about. Rather than suffering through fake niceties, they retreat into solitude, where they can reflect, create, and recharge without distraction. 5. They prefer controversial and thought-provoking topics. While most people avoid uncomfortable discussions, intelligent individuals are drawn to them. Nietzsche challenged societal norms, encouraging debates on morality, power, and human nature. Small talk avoids controversy, but deep thinkers thrive on it. They would rather discuss existential philosophy, politics, or art than engage in safe, predictable banter that leads nowhere. 6. They see through social manipulation. Small talk often serves as a tool for social conformity, a way to fit in and avoid standing out. Nietzsche despised herd mentality, advocating for independent thought. Intelligent people recognize that much of small talk is performative, designed to maintain social harmony rather than express truth. They reject this manipulation, choosing instead to speak only when they have something meaningful to contribute. 7. They are selective with their energy. Intelligent minds operate at a high cognitive level, requiring significant mental energy. Nietzsche understood that not all conversations are worth the effort. Small talk drains this energy without offering any return. Instead, they conserve their mental resources for discussions that challenge them, inspire new ideas, or lead to personal growth. 8. They prioritize self-discovery. Nietzsche believed that true wisdom comes from self-exploration, not social validation. Intelligent people spend more time analyzing their own thoughts than seeking approval through small talk. They engage in introspection, journaling, and deep reading, activities that foster self-awareness and intellectual expansion. 9. They find joy in complex ideas. While some people enjoy lighthearted banter, intelligent individuals derive pleasure from wrestling with complex concepts. Nietzsche's works are filled with intricate theories on power, suffering, and transcendence, topics that demand deep engagement. Small talk, in contrast, feels dull and unfulfilling, leaving them unsatisfied and restless. 10. They reject social expectations. Society expects people to engage in polite, meaningless chatter, but intelligent individuals often defy these norms. Nietzsche encouraged breaking free from societal constraints, urging people to live authentically. Deep thinkers refuse to conform to conversational rituals that feel insincere, opting instead for silence or meaningful dialogue. 11. They are observers, not participants. Intelligent people often take a step back in social settings, observing rather than engaging in small talk. Nietzsche himself was a keen observer of human behavior, using his insights to craft his philosophy. Instead of participating in trivial exchanges, they analyzed social dynamics, gaining a deeper understanding of human nature. 12. They focus on legacy, not pleasantries. Nietzsche was obsessed with legacy, creating work that would outlive him. Intelligent people share this focus, prioritizing contributions over casual conversations. They would rather write a book, develop a theory, or solve a problem than spend hours discussing irrelevant topics. 13. They are drawn to intellectual debates. While small talk avoids conflict, intelligent people thrive on intellectual clashes. Nietzsche believed that friction leads to growth. They enjoyed debates on philosophy, science, and ethics, conversations that force them to defend their views and refine their thinking. 14. They dislike superficial judgments. Small talk often leads to snap judgments based on appearances or trivial details. Nietzsche rejected such superficiality, advocating for deeper understanding. Intelligent people withhold judgment until they can engage in meaningful dialogue that reveals true character. 15. They seek mentors, not acquaintances. Rather than collecting casual friendships, intelligent people seek mentors and intellectual equals. Nietzsche had few close relationships but deeply valued those who challenged him. They prefer one profound conversation over 100 shallow ones. 16. They use silence strategically. Nietzsche wrote, "Silence is worse. All truths that are kept silent become poisonous." Intelligent people understand the power of silence, using it to avoid wasting words. They speak only when their words carry weight, making their conversations more impactful. 17. They are always learning. Small talk doesn't teach anything new, but intelligent people are lifelong learners. Nietzsche believed in constant self-improvement. They replace small talk with reading, researching, and engaging with experts in their fields. 18. They challenge conventional thinking. Nietzsche was a provocateur, questioning everything. Intelligent people do the same, avoiding small talk because it reinforces conventionality. They prefer discussions that break norms and explore radical ideas. 19. They value depth in relationships. For intelligent people, friendship is about shared intellectual passion, not casual camaraderie. Nietzsche believed in bonds forged through struggle and truth. They invest in relationships that stimulate their minds, not just their social needs. 20. They create rather than conform. Ultimately, intelligent people avoid small talk because they are creators, not conformists. Nietzsche's legacy was built on bold ideas, not polite conversation. They spend their time producing art, writing, and philosophy, leaving a mark on the world rather than fading into social noise. Conclusion. Nietzsche's disdain for small talk was rooted in his pursuit of depth, truth, and intellectual freedom. Intelligent people follow this path, rejecting superficiality in favor of meaningful engagement. They prioritize solitude, deep conversations, and relentless self-improvement over societal expectations. In a world drowning in empty words, they choose silence or substance. The next time you see someone avoiding small talk, remember, they might just be a genius. Intelligent people like Friedrich Nietzsche often avoid small talk because it feels intellectually barren, a meaningless exchange of pleasantries that drains energy without offering depth or truth. Nietzsche saw such chatter as societal trap, a way to maintain superficial harmony while stifling real thought. Instead, deep thinkers crave conversations that challenge assumptions, explore ideas, and reveal character. Discussions about philosophy, art, human nature, or personal struggles. They prefer silence over forced niceties, valuing solitude for reflection and creativity rather than enduring hollow social rituals. Personally, I've learned that cutting out small talk doesn't make you rude. It makes your words more meaningful. Try steering conversations towards substance. Ask bold questions, debate ideas, or simply listen deeply. As Nietzsche warned, those who were seen dancing were thought to be insane by those who could not hear the music. If others find your avoidance of small talk odd, it may just mean they haven't yet learned to hear the richer music of real conversation. Prioritize depth, and you'll attract those worth your time. Stay calm and listen carefully. Today is a new day for you to change your life. Don't miss it. Let's begin. Welcome back to You Achiever. Introduction. The power of a worry-free mind. Worrying is a natural human response to uncertainty, yet it often does more harm than good. Michel de Montaigne, the renowned French philosopher, suggests that letting go of anxiety can dramatically improve our lives. His wisdom implies that worry distorts our perception, drains our energy, and blocks opportunities. When we release our fears, we create space for clarity, confidence, and positive outcomes. This idea is not just philosophical, but also backed by psychology and real-life experiences. Let's explore how abandoning worry can transform our lives. 1. Worry clouds judgment and decision-making. Excessive worry overwhelms the mind, making it difficult to think clearly. When we obsess over potential problems, we become trapped in a cycle of negative predictions rather than focusing on solutions. Montaigne understood that a calm mind is better at assessing situations logically. Without the fog of anxiety, we make wiser choices, leading to better outcomes in relationships, work, and personal growth. 2. Stress hinders. Performance science confirms that stress impairs cognitive function and productivity. Worry triggers the fight-or-flight response, which is useful in emergencies but harmful when prolonged. When we stop worrying, our brain operates optimally, enhancing creativity, memory, and problem-solving skills. Montaigne's insight aligns with modern psychology. Mental peace is essential for peak performance. 3. Worry attracts negative outcomes. The law of attraction suggests that our dominant thoughts shape our reality. Constant worry reinforces fear, making us more likely to encounter the very things we dread. Conversely, a positive, relaxed mindset attracts favorable circumstances. Montaigne's philosophy encourages us to shift focus from fear to faith, thereby inviting success. 2. Stress hinders. Performance science confirms that stress impairs cognitive function and productivity. Worry triggers the fight-or-flight response, which is useful in emergencies but harmful when prolonged. When we stop worrying, our brain operates optimally, enhancing creativity, memory, and problem-solving skills. Montaigne's insight aligns with modern psychology. Mental peace is essential for peak performance. 3. Worry attracts negative outcomes. The law of attraction suggests that our dominant thoughts shape our reality. Constant worry reinforces fear, making us more likely to encounter the very things we dread. Conversely, a positive, relaxed mindset attracts favorable circumstances. Montaigne's philosophy encourages us to shift focus from fear to faith, thereby inviting success. 7. Increased opportunities. Fear paralyzes us while confidence opens doors. When we stop worrying, we take bold actions, applying for jobs, starting businesses, or pursuing passions. Montaigne's life reflected this courage as he embraced curiosity over fear. 8. Living in the present. Worry fixates on the future, stealing the joy of the present. Montaigne advocated mindfulness, appreciating the moment rather than fearing what's ahead. This shift brings contentment and gratitude. 9. Enhanced problem solving. A calm mind finds solutions faster. Worry amplifies problems, while clarity reveals answers. Montaigne's essays demonstrate how rational thinking, free from panic, leads to wisdom. 10. Self-fulfilling prophecies. If we expect failure, we unconsciously sabotage ourselves. Montaigne's quote reminds us that optimism creates self-fulfilling success. Believing in positive outcomes makes them more likely. 11th. Letting go of control. Many worries stem from the illusion of control. Montaigne taught acceptance. Some things are beyond our power. Surrendering anxiety brings peace amid chaos. 12th. Strengthened intuition. A quiet mind hears intuition clearly. Worry drowns out inner guidance, while stillness enhances decision-making. Montaigne trusted his instincts, leading a life of purpose. 13. Greater resilience. Without constant worry, setbacks feel manageable. Montaigne faced hardships but remained composed, proving that inner stability outlasts external turmoil. 14. Boosted creativity. Anxiety stifles innovation. A relaxed mind explores ideas freely. Montaigne's literary brilliance emerged from a mind unshackled by fear. 15. Financial benefits. Worry leads to impulsive or overly cautious financial decisions. Confidence fosters smart investments and abundance. Montaigne valued moderation over fear-driven extremes. 16. Spiritual growth. Worry distracts from deeper meaning. Letting go fosters mindfulness and spiritual connection. Montaigne's reflections reveal a soul at peace with existence. 17. Improved sleep. A restless mind disrupts rest. Releasing worry ensures restorative sleep, boosting energy and mood, a principle Montaigne lived by despite his ailments. 18. Stronger leadership. Great leaders stay composed under pressure. Montaigne's wisdom shows that calmness inspires confidence in others. 19. Long-term happiness. Worry steals joy over time. Montaigne's philosophy promotes lasting contentment through acceptance and perspective. 20. Conclusion. Embracing Montaigne's wisdom. Montaigne's words remind us that worry is optional. By choosing peace, we unlock success, health, and fulfillment. Letting go isn't negligence. It's trust in life's flow. When we stop worrying, everything truly does start to go well. When you stop worrying, everything starts to go well. This profound insight from Michel de Montaigne captures a timeless truth about the power of the mind. Worrying is like carrying an invisible weight that drains your energy, clouds your judgment, and traps you in a cycle of what-ifs. Yet the moment you release that mental burden, life begins to flow more smoothly. Why? Because worry distorts reality. It magnifies problems, stifles creativity, and attracts the very outcomes we fear. When you let go, your mind clears, your focus sharpens, and opportunities you once overlooked suddenly become visible. You start making better decisions, relationships improve, and even challenges feel manageable because you're no longer fighting imaginary battles. Montaigne, a philosopher who valued self-awareness and tranquility, understood that much of our suffering is self-inflicted. The world doesn't change when we stop worrying. We do. We become more present, resilient, and open to solutions. Personally, I've found that the less I obsess over things I can't control, the more life surprises me in the best ways. Try this. Next time anxiety creeps in, ask yourself, will worrying change the outcome? If not, redirect that energy into action or acceptance. Trust that you'll handle whatever comes, and watch how effortlessly things begin to align. After all, peace isn't the absence of problems, it's the absence of panic. When you choose calm over chaos, the universe conspires to meet you halfway. When you stop worrying, everything starts to go well. Michel de Montaigne's timeless wisdom reveals a profound truth about how our minds shape our reality. Worrying is like shaking a snow globe. It blurs our vision, stirs up chaos, and prevents us from seeing clearly. The moment we set down that snow globe, the moment we release our grip on fear, the flurry settles and life comes into focus. Worry tricks us into believing we're preparing for the worst, but in reality, it only drains our energy, distorts our judgment, and attracts more of what we fear. When we stop worrying, we don't magically erase life's challenges, but we do something far more powerful. We reclaim our ability to think clearly, act wisely, and recognize opportunities we were too anxious to see before. Confidence replaces doubt, solutions appear where problems once loomed, and even setbacks feel like stepping stones rather than roadblocks. From personal experience, I've learned that worry is often just a misguided attempt to control the uncontrollable. The more I've practiced letting go, trusting that I'll handle whatever comes, rather than exhausting myself imagining disasters, the more life seems to unfold with unexpected ease. Here's a simple shift that helps. When worry arises, ask, is this thought protecting me or paralyzing me? If it's the latter, take one small step forward instead. You'll find that life supports a calm mind far more than a frantic one. Montaigne wasn't promising a perfect life. He was pointing us toward a wiser way to live. When you stop fighting shadows, you start seeing light everywhere. In a world filled with distractions, setbacks, and negativity, mastering the art of appearing unbothered is a powerful skill. Napoleon Hill, the legendary author of Think and Grow Rich, emphasized the importance of mental discipline and emotional control in achieving success. One of his key teachings is learning to act as if nothing bothers you, not to suppress emotions, but to command them. This principle isn't about being emotionless. It's about maintaining composure, confidence, and focus regardless of external circumstances. By embodying this mindset, you project strength, deter negativity, and attract opportunities. Over the next 25 paragraphs, we'll explore this concept in depth, breaking down how to cultivate this unshakable demeanor in every aspect of life. Paragraph 1. The power of perception. People judge you based on how you react to challenges. If you remain calm under pressure, others perceive you as confident and in control. Napoleon Hill taught that success begins in the mind. What you project outwardly shapes how the world responds to you. When you act unbothered, you command respect and discourage those who seek to undermine you. This isn't about deception, it's about mastering self-presentation to create favorable outcomes. Paragraph 2. Emotional discipline. Over-suppression. Acting unbothered doesn't mean ignoring emotions. It means regulating them. Hill emphasized emotional intelligence, where you acknowledge feelings but refuse to let them dictate your actions. By practicing restraint, you prevent impulsive reactions that could harm your progress. This discipline strengthens your mental resilience over time. Paragraph 3. The law of attraction in action. Hill's philosophy aligns with the law of attraction. Like attracts like. If you radiate calmness and confidence, you attract positive people and opportunities. Conversely, if you appear easily shaken, you invite negativity. By mastering this principle, You shape a reality where setbacks don't derail you. Paragraph 4. The art of strategic silence. Not every provocation deserves a response. Often, the most powerful reaction is none at all. Hill advised that silence can disarm critics and prevent unnecessary conflicts. When you refuse to engage in pettiness, you maintain the upper hand. Paragraph 5. Confidence as a shield. Confidence is the armor against external negativity. Hill taught that self-assurance repels doubters and naysayers. When you truly believe in yourself, minor insults or setbacks lose their power over you. This inner certainty makes it easier to appear unfazed. Paragraph 6. The role of body language. Nonverbal cues speak louder than words. Maintaining steady eye contact, relaxed posture, and controlled gestures signals composure. Hill emphasized that mastering body language reinforces the perception of unshakability. Paragraph 7. Mental rehearsal for composure. Hill advocated visualization, mentally rehearsing calm reactions to potential challenges. By preparing your mind in advance, you're less likely to be caught off guard. This practice builds habitual poise. Paragraph 8. Detaching from others' opinions. Caring too much about what others think weakens your resolve. Hill encouraged self-reliance in judgment. When you stop seeking validation, external criticism loses its sting. Paragraph 9. The power of delayed response. Instead of reacting immediately, pause. Hill suggested that taking even a few seconds to respond prevents regretful outbursts. This small delay reinforces control. Paragraph 10. Turning negativity into fuel. Hill believed every obstacle is an opportunity. When you view challenges as growth moments, they bother you less. This mindset shift transforms adversity into advantage. Paragraph 11. The importance of a strong purpose. A clear mission keeps you focused. Hill taught that when you're driven by purpose, trivial disturbances fade in significance. Your goals become your anchor. Paragraph 12. Practicing gratitude daily. Gratitude shifts focus from lack to abundance. Hill recommended daily gratitude exercises to maintain a positive outlook, making it easier to stay unbothered. Paragraph 13. Controlling the narrative. How you frame situations affects your emotions. Hill advised reframing setbacks as temporary and solvable. This mental reframing reduces their emotional impact. Paragraph 14. The influence of association. Surrounding yourself with poised individuals rubs off on you. Hill warned against toxic environments that breed agitation. Choose your circle wisely. Paragraph 15. Mastering the pause. Before speaking or acting, take a breath. Hill highlighted that this simple habit prevents reactive behavior, reinforcing calmness. Paragraph 16. The illusion of permanence. Most troubles are temporary. Hill reminded us that overreacting magnifies problems. Keeping perspective helps maintain composure. Paragraph 17. The power of routine. A disciplined routine fosters stability. Hill linked daily structure to emotional control, reducing susceptibility to stress. Paragraph 18. Humor as a defense. Laughing off minor irritations disarms them. Hill noted that humor shifts energy, making it harder for negativity to stick. Paragraph 19. The practice of non-attachment. Hill taught that clinging to outcomes creates frustration. Detaching from rigid expectations fosters resilience. Paragraph 20. The strength in solitude. Spending time alone builds self-sufficiency. Hill valued solitude for reinforcing inner strength, reducing dependence on external validation. Paragraph 21. The mastery of tone. A steady, calm tone conveys control. Hill emphasized that how you speak influences how others perceive your confidence. Paragraph 22. The power of small wins. Celebrating minor victories builds confidence. Hill advised tracking progress to reinforce an unshakable self-image. Paragraph 23. The role of physical health. A healthy body supports a strong mind. Hill linked physical vitality to emotional stability, making it easier to stay composed. Paragraph 24. The long-term game. Hill's principles are about lasting success, not short-term appearances. True unshakability comes from consistent practice over time. Paragraph 25. Becoming unstoppable. When you internalize these lessons, you transform into a person who cannot be easily shaken. Hill's teachings empower you to navigate life with unwavering confidence, turning every challenge into a stepping stone. By acting as if nothing bothers you, you eventually become unbothered. And that is the mark of true mastery. Napoleon Hill's philosophy of acting as if nothing bothers you isn't about suppressing emotions. It's about mastering them so thoroughly that external chaos can't derail your focus, confidence, or progress. The key lies in understanding that perception shapes reality. When you refuse to react to pettiness, setbacks, or negativity, you project an aura of unshakable control that commands respect and disarms adversaries. This begins with emotional discipline, training yourself to pause before reacting, to breathe before responding, and to ask, will this matter in a week, a month, or a year? Before investing mental energy, Hill emphasized that silence is often the most powerful response. By not engaging with every provocation, you conserve energy for what truly matters while denying others the satisfaction of getting under your skin. Personally, I've found that adopting this mindset requires daily practice. Start small by ignoring rude comments, staying calm in traffic, or laughing off minor annoyances. Over time, you'll rewire your brain to default to composure rather than frustration. Another critical aspect is self-assurance. When you truly believe in your purpose, external opinions lose their weight. Ask yourself, why should I let someone else's negativity dictate my peace? Surround yourself with disciplined, positive thinkers, Hill's mastermind principle, and remember that obstacles are opportunities to prove your mental strength. The goal isn't to become emotionless, but to ensure no one can make you feel inferior without your consent. Eventually, this practiced indifference becomes genuine resilience. You'll stop acting unbothered and start being unbothered, which is the ultimate power. Bonus. Personal advice. Play the long game. People who thrive under pressure aren't born that way. They've trained their minds through repetition. Every time you choose calm over reaction, you're strengthening your mental muscle. Protect your focus like it's gold. Distractions, including emotional ones, are the thieves of success. Ask, is this worth my attention? Before engaging. Your energy is currency. Spend it wisely. Reacting to every little thing is like handing out dollar bills to strangers. Soon you'll be bankrupt.
No, it will be tough, and you will still find the way to win.
If you ever felt like not able to do something or some feeling of laziness, sit well and get ready to kill it all of those stupid thought of retain. Welcome back to you, Achiever. Today we are going to explore the Lotus Method, awakening the statue of wisdom within, introducing the power of mental discipline. In a world filled with distractions and instant gratification, the ability to focus on hard tasks and maintain mental well-being is a rare and valuable skill. The Lotus Method is a transformative approach designed to train your brain to embrace challenges, cultivate resilience, and unlock the hidden depths of your potential. Like a lotus flower rising from murky waters, this method teaches you to thrive in adversity, accessing the statue of wisdom within, a metaphor for your highest, most disciplined self. Over the next 25 paragraphs, we will explore this powerful framework, guiding you towards self-mastery, motivation, and lasting mental strength. 1. Understanding the Lotus Method. The Lotus Method is rooted in the idea that true growth comes from disciplined effort, much like how a lotus flower must push through mud before blooming. This philosophy combines principles from neuroscience, psychology, and ancient wisdom traditions to help you rewire your brain for perseverance. By training yourself to engage in difficult tasks willingly, you strengthen mental resilience. Much like a muscle that grows through resistance training, the ultimate goal is to awaken your inner statue of wisdom, the part of you that remains calm, focused, and unwavering even in the face of adversity. 2. Why the brain resists hard things. Our brains are wired for efficiency, often favoring shortcuts and comfort over effort. This is due to the brain's natural tendency to conserve energy, a trait that once helped our ancestors survive, but now holds us back from growth. When faced with a challenging task, the mind instinctively seeks escape, triggering procrastination or avoidance. The Lotus method teaches you to recognize these resistance patterns and override them, training your brain to associate effort with reward rather than discomfort. Over time, this shift in mindset makes hard tasks feel more manageable and even fulfilling. 3. The role of neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to rewire itself, is the foundation of the Lotus method. Every time you push through a difficult task, you strengthen neural pathways associated with discipline and focus. Conversely, avoiding challenges reinforces laziness and anxiety. By consistently engaging in hard tasks, you reshape your brain to become more resilient, making future challenges easier to tackle. This process is gradual, but with persistence, your mental stamina will improve, allowing you to access deeper levels of focus and creativity. The Statue of Wisdom. Your higher self. The Statue of Wisdom symbolizes your most disciplined, wise, and composed self, the version of you that remains unshaken by distractions or setbacks. Visualizing this inner statue helps you detach from impulsive reactions and align with long-term goals. When faced with a difficult decision or task, ask yourself, what would the Statue of Wisdom do? This mental exercise creates psychological distance from fleeting emotions, allowing you to act with clarity and purpose. The 3 pillars of the Lotus method. The Lotus method rests on 3 core principles: awareness, discipline, and expansion. Awareness involves recognizing your mental resistance patterns. Discipline is the practice of consistently choosing hard tasks over comfort. Expansion refers to gradually increasing the difficulty of challenges to build mental strength. Together, these pillars create a sustainable framework for self-improvement, ensuring continuous growth without burnout. Step 1. Cultivating awareness. Before you can change your habits, you must first observe them. Spend a week tracking when and why you avoid difficult tasks. Do you procrastinate out of fear, boredom, or overwhelm? Journaling your thoughts can reveal hidden mental blocks. Awareness alone won't solve the problem, but it provides the clarity needed to take intentional action. Step 2. Embracing discomfort. Discomfort is the gateway to growth. The Lotus method requires you to lean into challenges rather than avoid them. Start small, wake up earlier, read a complex book, or practice a skill that feels difficult. Each time you willingly face discomfort, you reinforce the belief that you are capable of hard things. Step 3. The 5-second rule for action. When you feel resistance, count down from 5 and act immediately. This technique, inspired by Mel Robbins' research, prevents your brain from overthinking. The moment you hesitate, your mind creates excuses. By moving within 5 seconds, you bypass doubt and build momentum. Step 4. The power of micro goals. Large tasks feel overwhelming, but breaking them into tiny steps makes them manageable. If you need to write a report, start with 1 sentence. If you dread exercise, commit to just 5 minutes. Micro goals trick your brain into starting, and once you begin, momentum carries you forward. Step 10. Rewiring your reward system. Your brain learns from rewards. If you associate hard work with positive outcomes, it will seek more of it. After completing a difficult task, celebrate with a small reward, a walk, a favorite song, or a moment of pride. Over time, your brain will link effort with satisfaction. 11th step 6. The role of visualization. Athletes and high performers use visualization to enhance focus. Before tackling a hard task, close your eyes and imagine yourself succeeding. Feel the satisfaction of completion. This mental rehearsal primes your brain for action, reducing anxiety and increasing confidence. 12th step 7. Building mental endurance. Just as runners train for marathons, you must train your mind for endurance. Gradually increase the difficulty of tasks, pushing slightly beyond your comfort zone each day. This progressive overload ensures steady growth without burnout. Step 11. Eliminating distractions. Your environment shapes your behavior. Remove temptations that pull you away from hard tasks. Turn off notifications, declutter your workspace, and set clear boundaries. A focused environment supports a focused mind. 17th step 12, the power of accountability. Share your goals with someone who will hold you accountable. Knowing that others expect progress increases motivation. Alternatively, track your progress publicly through journals or apps to create self-accountability. 18, step 13, developing a growth mindset. Carol Dweck's research shows that believing in improvement leads to success. Instead of saying, "I can't do this," say, "I can't do this yet." This subtle shift opens the door to learning and persistence. Step 14, the role of breath work. Deep breathing calms the nervous system, reducing stress and improving focus. Before starting a hard task, take 5 slow breaths. This simple practice centers your mind, making challenges feel more manageable. Step 15, the 2-minute rule. If a task takes less than 2 minutes, do it immediately. This prevents small tasks from piling up and creating mental clutter. Clearing minor tasks frees up energy for bigger challenges. 21st, step 16, harnessing the power of rituals. Rituals signal to your brain that it's time to focus. Create a pre-work ritual, stretching, drinking tea, or reviewing goals to transition into a disciplined mindset. 22nd, step 17, the art of delayed gratification. Train yourself to wait for rewards. Skip instant pleasures, like scrolling social media, and invest time in meaningful work. The ability to delay gratification is linked to long-term success. 23rd, step 18, the influence of language. The words you use shape your reality. Replace "I have to" with "I choose to." This reframing empowers you, transforming obligations into intentional decisions. 24. Step 19, the final push, embracing the struggle. The last stretch of a hard task is often the toughest. This is where growth happens. When you feel like quitting, remind yourself, this discomfort is temporary, but the strength I gain is permanent. 25th conclusion, becoming the statue of wisdom. The Lotus method is not about perfection, it's about progress. Each time you choose discipline over comfort, you carve away the excess, revealing the statue of wisdom within. With consistent practice, hard tasks become opportunities, fear turns into fuel, and your mental health flourishes. Start today. Embrace the mud, rise like the lotus, and awaken your highest self.
The game of power. Welcome back to You Achiever.
Understanding Machiavelli's wisdom. Winning by deception over force. NICCOLO Machiavelli, the renowned Italian Renaissance philosopher and political strategist, is often remembered for his pragmatic and sometimes ruthless views on power and leadership. One of his most striking quotes, "Never attempt to win by force what can be won by deception," encapsulates a core principle of his philosophy, the strategic advantage of cunning over brute strength. At first glance, this statement may seem morally questionable, but when examined more deeply, it reveals a profound understanding of human nature, conflict, and the art of influence. Over the next 12 paragraphs, we will explore what Machiavelli truly meant, why deception can be more effective than force, and how this principle applies in politics, warfare, and even everyday life. 1. The essence of Machiavellian strategy. Machiavelli's statement emphasizes efficiency in achieving one's goals. Force, while direct, often comes with heavy costs, resistance, destruction, and long-term resentment. Deception, on the other hand, allows a leader or strategist to manipulate perceptions, control narratives, and achieve objectives without open confrontation. This doesn't necessarily mean outright lying. It can involve strategic misdirection, psychological manipulation, or exploiting an opponent's assumptions. The key idea is that if a goal can be accomplished without a costly battle, deception is the smarter path. 2. Why force is often a last resort. Using force requires resources, soldiers, weapons, time, and energy. And even in victory, the aftermath can be unstable. History shows that empires built solely on conquest, like Genghis Khan's or Napoleon's, often crumble quickly because suppressed populations eventually rebel. Machiavelli recognized that sustained power requires more than dominance. It requires control over minds, not just bodies. Deception allows a ruler to weaken enemies internally through espionage, propaganda, or diplomacy before any physical conflict is necessary. 3. The psychological power of deception. Human beings are influenced more by perception than reality. A skilled deceiver can shape how others see a situation, making them act against their own interests. For example, in warfare, a general might spread false intelligence to lure enemies into a trap, avoiding a direct and bloody battle. In politics, a leader may feign weakness to embolden rivals, only to outmaneuver them later. Machiavelli understood that the mind is the real battlefield, and deception is its most effective weapon. 4. Historical examples of deception. Overforce history is filled with examples where cunning triumphed over brute strength. The Trojan horse is the classic symbol of deception, defeating a stronger foe. In more recent times, during World War II, the Allies used elaborate ruses like Operation Mincemeat, where they planted false documents on a corpse to mislead Nazi forces to gain strategic advantages. These victories were achieved not through sheer force, but by outthinking the opponent, proving Machiavelli's point: the role of diplomacy and manipulation. Machiavelli was a strong advocate for diplomatic maneuvering. He believed that a ruler should be both a lion, strong, and a fox, cunning. Deception in diplomacy might involve making false promises, playing rival factions against each other, or pretending friendship until the right moment to strike. This approach minimizes risk. Whereas open war can lead to mutual destruction, a well-played deception can neutralize threats without widespread conflict. 6. The dangers of over-reliance on force. Machiavelli warns that leaders who default to force often create more enemies than they defeat. A ruler who crushes dissent violently may inspire fear, but also hatred and eventual rebellion. In contrast, a leader who uses deception to isolate opponents or turn public opinion can dismantle resistance without appearing tyrannical. The Roman Empire, for instance, often used political intrigue to control client states rather than constant military occupation. 7. Deception in modern politics and business. This principle extends beyond warfare into modern politics and corporate strategy. Politicians use media narratives, misinformation, and strategic alliances to weaken opponents without direct confrontation. In business, companies engage in misinformation campaigns, trade secrets, and market manipulation to outmaneuver competitors. Machiavelli's insight remains relevant. Those who master deception often rise to power more efficiently than those who rely on aggression alone. 8. The ethical dilemma of Machiavellian tactics. While effective, Machiavelli's advice raises moral questions. Is deception justified if it avoids bloodshed? Or does it erode trust and create a culture of deceit? Machiavelli himself argued that morality must sometimes be secondary to survival and success. A controversial but pragmatic stance. The debate continues today in discussions about espionage, propaganda, and political manipulation. 9. The limits of deception. Deception is not foolproof. If exposed, it can backfire spectacularly, destroying credibility and inciting greater resistance. Machiavelli knew this, which is why he advised that deception must be calculated and well-timed. A leader must know when to deceive and when to act openly, balancing cunning with strength. 12th conclusion, the timeless lesson. Machiavelli's quote is ultimately about efficiency and intelligence in power dynamics. Force has its place, but deception, when used wisely, can secure victory with far fewer consequences. Whether in war, politics, or everyday life, the ability to influence without direct conflict remains one of the most powerful tools a leader can possess. The lesson is clear. If you can win the game without firing a shot, why risk the battle? The dark side of goodness. Lessons from Machiavelli. Introduction. NICCOLO Machiavelli, the Renaissance political philosopher, is often misunderstood as a champion of ruthlessness. However, his work The Prince reveals a deeper truth, that goodness, when taken to extremes, can be self-destructive. He argues that leaders must sometimes embrace morally ambiguous actions to maintain stability and power. This idea, that virtue can become a vice, is the dark side of goodness. The paradox of virtue. Machiavelli observed that leaders who cling rigidly to moral ideals often fail. A ruler who is always kind, trusting, or generous may be exploited by rivals. Goodness, when unchecked by pragmatism, can weaken authority. Machiavelli warns that in politics, survival sometimes demands actions that seem harsh or unjust. 2. The necessity of fear. He famously wrote that it is better for a leader to be feared than loved, if they must choose. Love is fickle, but fear ensures obedience. A ruler who relies solely on being good may find their kindness mistaken for weakness, inviting betrayal. 3. The limits of mercy. Excessive mercy can enable chaos. Machiavelli uses the example of a lenient ruler whose subjects grow unruly. Sometimes decisive punishment, even cruelty, is necessary to prevent greater harm. The good leader who avoids conflict may allow disorder to flourish. The danger of honesty. Machiavelli advises that while honesty is virtuous, a leader must also be a skilled deceiver when necessary. Always telling the truth can make one predictable and vulnerable. Strategic lies may preserve peace or deter enemies. 5. The illusion of fairness. Politics is not a moral playground. Machiavelli argues that expecting fairness in power struggles is naive. A leader who insists on playing fair, while rivals do not, will likely be outmaneuvered. 6. The cost of idealism. Idealism can blind leaders to reality. Machiavelli warns that those who refuse to adapt, who insist on purity of principle, often fall to those who are more flexible. Compromise is not weakness, but survival. 7. The role of force. Good intentions alone cannot defend a state. Machiavelli stresses that power must be backed by strength. A pacifist ruler may invite invasion. Sometimes preemptive force is the lesser evil. 8. The art of manipulation. Machiavelli does not celebrate deceit but acknowledges its utility. Leaders must sometimes manipulate perceptions using propaganda or stage gestures to maintain control. Absolute transparency can be destabilizing. 9. The balance of vice and virtue. A successful leader, Machiavelli argues, must know when to employ vice and when to display virtue. Too much of either leads to ruin. The key is adaptability, doing what the situation demands. 10. The harsh reality of human nature. Machiavelli's dark view stems from his belief that people are self-interested. Trusting others too much invites betrayal. A leader must assume that not everyone operates by noble motives. 11. The fall of the righteous history, Machiavelli notes, is filled with morally upright leaders who were overthrown. Their downfall was not their goodness, but their inability to recognize when to abandon it. 12. The justification of evil. Machiavelli does not advocate evil for its own sake, but argues that some evils prevent greater ones. A single act of cruelty may prevent prolonged suffering, a grim but practical calculation. 13. The leader as a lion and fox. A ruler must be both strong, a lion, and cunning, a fox. Pure goodness lacks the teeth to defend itself, while pure ruthlessness lacks legitimacy. The balance is key. 14. The end. Justifying the means. This infamous idea is often oversimplified. Machiavelli suggests that actions must be judged by outcomes, not just intentions. A good deed that causes harm is worse than a bad one that brings stability. 15. The lesson for modern leadership. Machiavelli's insights remain relevant. Leaders today must navigate moral dilemmas where rigid idealism can be dangerous. The dark side of goodness reminds us that effective leadership sometimes requires uncomfortable choices, not out of malice, but necessity. Conclusion. Machiavelli's philosophy is not an endorsement of evil, but a warning about the dangers of unchecked virtue. In a flawed world, leaders must sometimes embrace the dark side of goodness to protect what matters most.
No, It will be tough, and you will still find the way to win.
The Dark Side of Goodness. Lessons from Machiavelli. Introduction. The Paradox of Virtue. We like to believe that goodness always leads to success, that kindness begets kindness, and that moral purity is the surest path to power. But history and Machiavelli tell a different story. In The Prince, the Renaissance philosopher shattered the illusion that virtue alone guarantees victory. Instead, he revealed a brutal truth. Sometimes the most effective leaders must embrace cunning, deception, and even cruelty to survive. This isn't a call for tyranny, but a sobering reminder that idealism, unchecked by pragmatism, can be a fatal flaw. To understand the dark side of goodness, we must confront the uncomfortable reality that morality and power don't always align. The fragility of pure goodness. A leader who refuses to ever lie, manipulate, or make hard choices may seem noble. But in a world where others play by different rules, such purity can be a weakness. Machiavelli observed that those who cling blindly to moral absolutes often fall prey to more ruthless adversaries. Think of the honest politician outmaneuvered by corrupt rivals, or the kind-hearted CEO whose company is devoured by aggressive competitors. Goodness, when naive, becomes a liability. This doesn't mean ethics are worthless, but it forces us to ask, can one remain truly good in a world that rewards ruthlessness? The necessity of strategic evil. Machiavelli's most controversial lesson is that sometimes evil must be used for good ends. A ruler who never employs fear or deception may lose control, leading to chaos, a far greater harm. This mirrors modern dilemmas. Should governments spy on citizens to prevent terror? Should corporations exploit legal loopholes to stay competitive? The answer isn't simple, but Machiavelli warns that refusing to engage in any morally gray action can result in greater suffering. The real question isn't whether to compromise, but where to draw the line. The illusion of universal love. Many believe that being loved is better than being feared, but Machiavelli argues that love is fickle, while fear is reliable. People abandon benevolent leaders when self-interest demands it, but they hesitate to betray those who command respect through strength. Modern politics and business confirm this. Charisma alone rarely sustains power. The most enduring leaders, whether CEOs or politicians, balance inspiration with an unshakable aura of consequence. This isn't an endorsement of cruelty, but a recognition that dependence on goodwill is a gamble. The hypocrisy of moral condemnation. Society condemns Machiavellian tactics, yet secretly admires those who wield them successfully. We vilify the scheming politician, then elect them. We criticize cutthroat business practices, yet reward the winners. This hypocrisy reveals an uncomfortable truth. People claim to value goodness, but they respect results. Machiavelli forces us to confront the difference between public morality and private pragmatism. The most effective operators master both, knowing when to wear the mask of virtue and when to act in the shadows. The danger of half measures. One of Machiavelli's sharpest warnings is that half-hearted ruthlessness is worse than none at all. If you must strike a rival, do it decisively. Otherwise, you invite retaliation. This applies today. A company that hesitates to adapt aggressively will be crushed. A leader who weakly enforces rules loses authority. The lesson? Indecision in the face of necessary evil often backfires. Moral hesitation can be more destructive than calculated action. Goodness as a luxury of power? Machiavelli notes that only those already in secure positions can afford uncompromising virtue. The struggling entrepreneur can't always be ethical if survival is at stake. The revolutionary fighting oppression may need dirty tactics to win. This isn't cynicism, it's realism. True moral freedom is often a privilege of those who've already secured their power. Until then, the game demands concessions. The modern Machiavellian. Today's world, with its complex politics, corporate warfare, and social manipulation, is more Machiavellian than ever. The difference? Our tools are subtler. Media spin, algorithmic influence, legal maneuvering. The principles remain the same. Power favors those who understand human nature, leverage fear and reward wisely, and recognize that absolute goodness is often a fairy tale. The wise modern leader studies Machiavelli not to become a monster, but to avoid being devoured by them. Conclusion: beyond good and evil. Machiavelli doesn't destroy morality. He refines it. His lessons force us to ask, is it better to be good or to do good, even if that requires morally ambiguous means? The dark side of goodness is that sometimes the purest intentions lead to the worst outcomes. The challenge isn't rejecting ethics, but mastering the art of balancing ideals with the demands of reality. In the end, the greatest leaders aren't those who never get their hands dirty, but those who dirty them for the right reasons. Know that life is a beautiful journey, and kindness is one of the greatest gifts we can offer to others. But sometimes being too good to people can leave you drained, unappreciated, and even taken for granted. If you've ever felt exhausted from constantly putting others first while your own needs are ignored, it might be time to reassess. True kindness should never come at the cost of your own well-being. Let's explore why dialing back your generosity could be the best thing you do for yourself, and even for those around you. You deserve the same energy you give when you're always the one giving, supporting, and sacrificing. It's easy for others to assume you don't need anything in return, but relationships should be a two-way street. If you're constantly pouring into others without receiving the same care, resentment will eventually build. Setting boundaries isn't selfish, it's necessary. By stepping back, you teach people how to treat you and create space for those who truly value your kindness. Overgiving attracts takers, not appreciators. Not everyone who benefits from your goodness has pure intentions. Some people will see your kindness as an opportunity to exploit you, whether emotionally, financially, or energetically. When you're always available, always forgiving, and always giving, you risk attracting people who only stick around for what they can get. Protecting your energy ensures that your generosity goes to those who genuinely deserve it. You can't pour from an empty cup. Think of your kindness as a finite resource. If you give too much without replenishing yourself, you'll burn out. Constantly prioritizing others over your own mental, emotional, and physical health leads to exhaustion and even bitterness. Self-care isn't selfish, it's survival. By saying no sometimes, you preserve your ability to help in ways that truly matter, rather than spreading yourself too thin. Boundaries foster healthier relationships. Being too nice often means avoiding conflict, swallowing your feelings, or tolerating disrespect, all of which harm relationships in the long run. Healthy connections thrive on honesty, mutual respect, and balance. When you stop overextending yourself, you encourage others to meet you halfway. True friends and loved ones will respect your limits, while those who don't reveal themselves as unworthy of your energy. Final thought: kindness should be balanced, not blind. Kindness is a virtue, but it shouldn't come at the expense of your self-worth. You don't have to be cold-hearted, just wise enough to know when to step back. The world needs your goodness, but it also needs you, happy, whole, and thriving. So protect your heart, set those boundaries, and let your kindness be a choice, not a burden. You'll find that when you stop being too good to everyone, you become the best version of yourself for those who truly matter.